Hare Krishna. So we'll start today, chapter 7 from Bhagavad. So please recite after me the verse. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Saktamana Partha Yogam Yunjanmadashraya Ashansyam Samagramma Yathana Sitatshunu. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, now here, O son of Parth, Pratha, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. The purport? Nimai Rajendra, you can read the purport.
Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. In this 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the nature of Krishna consciousness is fully described. Krishna is full in all opulences, and how he manifests such opulences is described herein. Also, 4 kinds of fortunate people who become attached to Krishna and 4 kinds of unfortunate people who never take to Krishna are described in this chapter. In the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, the living entity has been described as non-material spirit soul, capable of elevating himself to self-realization by different types of yogas. At the end of the 6th chapter, it has been clearly stated that the steady concentration of mind upon Krishna, or in other words, Krishna consciousness, is the highest form of all yoga. By concentrating one's mind upon Krishna, one is able to know the absolute truth completely, but not otherwise. Impersonal Brahmajyoti or localized Paramatma realization is not perfect knowledge of absolute truth because it is partial. Full and scientific knowledge is Krishna, and everything is revealed to the person in Krishna consciousness. In complete Krishna consciousness, one knows that Krishna is ultimate knowledge beyond any doubts. Different types of yoga are only stepping stones on the path of Krishna consciousness. One who takes directly to Krishna consciousness automatically knows about Brahmajyoti and Paramatma in full. By practice of Krishna consciousness yoga, one can know everything in full, namely the absolute truth, the living entities, the material nature, and their manifestations with paraphernalia. One should therefore begin yoga practice as described, as directed in the last verse of the 6th chapter. Concentration of the mind upon Krishna, the Supreme, is made possible by prescribed devotional service in 9 different forms, of which Shravanam is the first and most important. The Lord therefore says to Arjun, Tashrinu, or hear from me. No one can be a greater authority than Krishna, and thereby hearing from him, one receives the greatest opportunity to become a perfectly Krishna conscious person. One has therefore to learn from Krishna directly or from a pure devotee of Krishna, and not from a non-devotee upstart puffed up with academic education. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, this process of understanding Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is described in the 2nd chapter of the 1st canto as follows. Shunvatam swakatha Krishna punya shravana kirtanaha hridayantahastho ya abhadrani vidunoti suhrit satam नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी तदा रजस्तमः भावः कामलोभादयश्च ये चेत चेत एतैरनाविद्यम् अनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्ते प्रसीदति एवं प्रसन्नमनसो भगवद्भक्ति योगतः भगवत्तत्त्वविज्ञानं मुक्तसङ्गस्य जायते भिद्यते हृदय ग्रन्थिश्छिन्दन्त्य सर्व संशयः क्षीयन्ते chasya karmani drashta evatmanishware. To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita, it itself righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lusts and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the science of God perfectly. Thus, Bhakti Yoga serves the hard knot of material affection and severs the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of asamshayam samagram, understanding the supreme absolute truth personality of Godhead. Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, 17 to 21st verse. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness can one understand the science of Krishna.
Starting second section of Bhagavata. The first 6 chapters were about Karma Yoga. And now we are beginning with Bhakti Yoga. So this is a very important chapter, section from chapter 7 to 12. So the connection of this chapter is described the last verse of previous chapter, where Krishna says, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajata yamam same yukta tamomata. So in chapter 6, 47 verse, Lord is explaining about the yogi who thinks about him. So now Lord is explaining in this verse that how one should do that, how one should remember him. So this breakdown of this chapter is section verse number 1 to 3. Lord will tell about the importance about hearing from him. And there is section 2 is verse number 4 to 12 is about knowing Krishna's material and spiritual energies. And in section 3, verse number 13 to 14, Krishna controls the modes of material world. So we should surrender to him. That is emphasized. And section 4, verse number 15 to 19, which kind of people don't surrender to Lord? The impious people. And which kind of people surrender to Lord? That is pious people. So that is described. And section 5, verse number 20 to 25, surrender to demigods. What happened? So first, surrender is emphasized. Now, whom one is surrendering? Demigods or impersonalism? So that is described in text number 20 to 25. And text number 26 to 30, Lord will describe about how people get bewildered by surrendering to other energies. But one who surrenders to him gets really free. So that is the overall content of this chapter. So now text number 1 to 3, Lord is emphasizing about hearing. So Lord will emphasize that one should hear about him. So there is a benefit one achieves by hearing about him. So that hearing is very, very important, and one should be very cautious that from where and from whom we are hearing. So in this verse, Lord is describing that how one should take shelter of him. So here two things Krishna emphasizes, that one should mayasakta mana, one should be attached to Supreme Lord. Not only attached, but one should take shelter of him. Madashray. And like that, if somebody's mind is attached and one has taken shelter, for that person, without any doubt, Lord will be revealed completely, samagram. So with that attitude, one should surrender to Lord, and then one should hear. And this is Krishna is going to describe now here to Arjuna. So we are fortunate by the causeless mercy of Arjuna. He became example of conditioned soul, and he has taken shelter of Krishna, and having intimate relation with Krishna, Arjuna is fortunate to hear this absolute truth. And by his mercy, we are also able to hear about the inner aspects of Lord. So this way one should surrender to Krishna. Mayasakt, one should be attached to Krishna. And when one gets attached to Krishna, then one should take shelter of him. And one who has taken shelter of Krishna, then he can hear about Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these are the prerequisites to hear about love. That one should have attachment and one should take shelter of him. If there is no attachment and there is no shelter, then our hearing will be a superficial hearing. That hearing will not benefit anybody. So there are many speakers in this material world who are speaking about Krishna. And there are many audience who are hearing about Krishna. But why there is no change of heart? Because they are not applying this principle. The principle of taking shelter of Lord and getting attached to him. So this attachment and shelter to Krishna can be obtained in the association of devotees. So if we want to understand Krishna, then we have to have fortune to get oral reception from the bona fide sampradaya. So in Bhagavatam, Brahmaji tells, Jnane prayasamudapasya namante eva jivanti sanmukritam bhavadeyavartam sthane sthita shrutigatam tanuvang manobhir ye prayasho ajito ajito prasiddhe lokyam. So Brahmaji is telling that Lord is very difficult to obtain by karma, by jnana. But he is very much easily available and can be obtained by bhakti. And how that bhakti one has to do? That bhakti begins with hearing about Supreme Lord. And how one should hear? From whom one should hear? So it is told there that one should hear from Sanmukhirtam Bhavadiyavartha. One should hear only from the bona fide devotees of the Lord. Sanmukh, the bona fide devotees. From their mouth, if somebody hears about Krishna, then he can conquer the unconquerable Lord within his heart. So that is the key to make life perfect. Is one should hear from bona fide devotees, from bona fide speakers. So we are very fortunate that Srila Prabhupada is our instructing spiritual master. From him we are learning by his writings, and that is only we are repeating. So repeating pure devotee is also a pure thing. So that way when we get to hear the words of pure devotees, then our material attachments will wither out. And we will get attached to Supreme Lord. So this hearing changes the life of the hearer. If by hearing our life is not changing, that means we are not hearing. So the problem with the hearer, if he is not hearing pure message, or the hearer is pure and he is listening very attentively, but if speaker is not pure, then that also will not benefit to the hearer. So sarpochist, if suppose there is a milk should give one strength if one drinks the milk. But the same milk, if it is touched by snake, the lips of snake, then that milk is not a pure milk, but it becomes a poisonous milk. And even a strong person, if he drinks that milk, so milk supposed to give strength, instead giving strength to that person, the milk will act as a poison, and the person will not get strength, rather he will fall sick and he will succumb to death. So that's why people are sincere to hear, but if speaker is not bona fide, then those sincere people will get they will not get a desired benefit. And speaker is pure, he is a bona fide, but if the listener has no eagerness, he has no surrender, he has no attachment, then that hearing for a prolonged time also will not give any benefit to that person. So the ears are called as a vessel to capture the nectar of Krishna's Katha, Krishna Kathamritam. But if the pot is kept upside down and the water flow is flowing on that pot, but the pot is upside down, not a drop will sink inside. So same way, many times we hear many things, but we don't have oral reception to those speakers or those speeches. That will not benefit our heart. Our heart will not soften, neither will develop love. So that's why we also have responsibility that we should hear with attention, with attachment, and with shelter. So now here Krishna is speaking about himself. He gave instruction in last verse that one should meditate upon him. To meditate upon somebody, one should know about him. So here Krishna mercifully going to describe about himself, his energies, so we can meditate upon him. So for that one requires all reception. So we should pay attention that we not only hear through our ears, but we capture these statements of Krishna, these teachings of Krishna within our heart, and these teachings which are captured in the heart should manifest by our actions. So till last chapter, 6 chapters, Krishna was describing renunciation in action. But now these 6 chapters, Lord will describe devotion in action. So doing activity is appreciated, but doing bad activities, it is not recommended. So Krishna instructed in last 6 chapter that one should not do bad activities. So now person will say, okay, I will not do any activity. So that is also not suffice. You cannot remain neutral. Everybody needs engagement. So what positive actions one should do? That is described in this section. So it begins with hearing. So Krishna is telling now that I am going to speak, so please hear. So the prerequisites are Maya Saktamana. One should have attachment to Krishna, and Madashri. One should take shelter of Krishna. So no other shelter we should take, but we should take shelter of Krishna. And with having this kind of attitude, if somebody hears about him, then all his doubts will be cleared. So here Krishna is telling that I am going to describe myself completely, samagram. So now the next verse. Jnanam teyam savijnanam idam vakshama sheshata yajnatvanya bhuyonya jnatvam avashishyate. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Yes, somebody can read the verse.
Yes, bro. Complete knowledge includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, and the source of both of them. This is transcendental knowledge. The Lord wants to explain the above mentioned system of knowledge because Arjuna is Krishna's confidential devotee and friend. In the beginning of the 4th chapter, this explanation was given by the Lord, and it is again confirmed here. Complete knowledge can be achieved only by the devotee of the Lord in disciplic succession directly from the Lord. Therefore, one should be intelligent enough to know the source of all knowledge, who is the cause of all causes, and the only object for meditation in all types of yoga practice. When the cause of all causes becomes known, then everything knowable becomes known, and nothing remains unknown. The Vedas, Mundaka Upanishad 1.1.3 say, Kasmin yu bhagavo vigyante sarvam idam vigyantam bhavantiti. Yes.
So this is Krishna's mercy. So Lord is going to describe about himself. And who can describe him more completely than himself? So if Krishna wants to describe about himself, then that is a complete. Because nobody can understand him. So here mercifully Lord is going to describe himself. So Gyan means phenomenal knowledge. And Vigyan means numinous knowledge. So in Gyan, Lord is going to describe about material world and spiritual energies. And in Numinous, in Vigyan, Lord is going to describe about himself. So Jnanis, they know Lord completely. But on what basis? Phenomenal basis. But Bhaktas know Lord more completely than the Jnanis. Because the devotees of the Lord, they know Lord's nature also. Like a doctor, he can check patient. He can do blood test. He can put heart machine. He can do MRI. So doctor can know the person in and out by the material way, the qualities of his blood, how his health is, what fever he has, how much temperature he has, all these things we know. But mother knows that person, what he likes, what food he likes. Those things, doctor will not. The mind of that person, the doctor will not. The liking of that person, the doctor will not. So this is the difference of understanding Supreme Personality by Gyanis and by Bhaktas. So yogis, Gyanis, they know this complete creation and they can fathom also that how this material world will act. They can control their bodies, they can control the material nature. But one thing they cannot control, that is Supreme Personality of Godhead. But devotees of the Lord, although they know material world or not, it's immaterial. But they know Supreme Personality of Godhead. They know His desires, they know His liking. They know Supreme Personality by their devotion. They can understand the mind of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that fortune a devotee has. So that understanding is complete understanding. Just understanding phenomenon is not complete, but one should understand the heart of Lord. That is also complete knowledge. So that is what Krishna is going to reveal now. So Krishna will not reveal his heart, his mind, his inner nature to anybody, but to his devotee only. So that's why here Krishna is qualifying Arjuna that you are my friend, you are my devotee. And that's why you can hear about my transcendental qualities. And complete knowledge you will get. So the complete knowledge is what? To know matter, to know spirit, and the source of both of them. So materialistic people only know the matter. And the Gyanis, they know the spirit, but they don't know the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But devotee of the Lord, he knows what is matter, he knows what is spirit, and he knows from whom these both things are coming. So that is a complete knowledge. And not only knowing is sufficient, but one should surrender also. Otherwise, one knows everything, but if one is not acting the will of the Lord, then that knowledge is not a complete knowledge. So Lord is describing here that I am going to give you transcendental knowledge. And what qualification one should have? One should be devotee. And one should hear from bona fide sampradaya, which is coming from Lord. And when this knowledge comes from the Lord by his representatives, then nothing remains to known in this world. So this is a great fortune which Krishna is awarding in Gita to all of us, that he is going to describe material knowledge as well as his own transcendental knowledge. So no material scientist can understand material world also completely. People, they try to understand material world, and as they progress, they understand that they are not able to understand. So you can see if you go to MBBS college, there is general doctor, but then there is a specialty, and in that also people do super specialty. So like that, there is people who give life for one part of our body, and they deeply study, and they are not able to understand still how this body functions. So then what to speak about the material creation? Scientists, they try to understand how this world works, but later on they get surprised that they are not able to understand. Like every time we get a SMS from meteorology department that today it will rain, but many times it is surprising that what they predict, it never happens, and something happens which they are not able to predict. So whole the department is not able to understand even material weather, then forget about understanding Krishna nature. That is not possible. But if Krishna wants to reveal himself, then that is so concisely he will reveal. So now in next few verses, Krishna will give us complete knowledge of this material world. So you go to any scientist and ask them, give me knowledge about this material world, they will not able to give us the knowledge. There will be big books which are describing our material world, and still after that people feel that they are incomplete in their understanding. But here in some few verses, next few verses, Krishna is going to describe the material world. And after his description, then nothing remains more to understand. What is this? What is there in this material? So this is Krishna's mercy. He, whatever gives us, it's complete. There is no incompleteness in that knowledge. But in material world, from whom we take knowledge, whatever big scholar he may be, but we understand that knowledge will not be complete. Because what they prove in their lifetime gets disproved by somebody else. And like that, the material knowledge, people understand that they are understanding better than the previous generation. But about spiritual knowledge, it's not like that. It never changes. We understand the understanding of our previous acharyas. And previous acharyas have their understanding based upon the previous acharyas. And in that way, if you go, the conclusion of our understanding is propagated by the Supreme Lord. So in this knowledge, one gets complete knowledge. So that is a completeness. So that is given by Krishna. And now Krishna will describe how rare this knowledge is, which is going to describe in these future verses. So text 3. Manushyanam sahastreshu kashidetati siddhaye yatatamapi siddhanam kashinmam veti tatvata. Out of many thousands of men, one may endeavor for perfection. And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Yes, but can read the purport. Now, Mataji can read now.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Sarvatmaya.
Yes.
Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 3. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhe.
Read the purport.
Directly, okay.
Hmm.
There are various grades of men, and out of many thousands, one may be sufficiently interested in transcendental realization to try to know what is the self, what is the body, and what is the absolute truth. Generally, mankind is simply engaged in the animal propensities, namely eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, and hardly anyone is interested in transcendental knowledge. The first 6 chapters of the Gita are meant for those who are interested in transcendental knowledge, in understanding the self, the super self, and the process of realization by Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and discrimination of the self from matter. However, Krishna can be known only by the persons who are in Krishna consciousness. Other transcendentalists may achieve impersonal Brahman realization. For this is easier than understanding Krishna. Krishna is the supreme person, but at the same time, he is beyond the knowledge of Brahman and Paramatma. The yogis and jnanis are confused in their attempts to understand Krishna. Although the greatest of the impersonalists, Sripad Shankaracharya, has admitted in the Gita commentary that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. His followers do not accept Krishna as such, for it is very difficult to know Krishna, even though one has transcendental realization of impersonal Brahman. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the primeval Lord Govinda. Ishvaraha Param Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Nadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. It is very difficult for the non-devotees to know him. Although non-devotees declare that the path of bhakti or devotional service is very easy, they cannot practice it. If the path of bhakti is so easy as the non-devotee class of men proclaim, then why do they take up the difficult path? Actually, the path of bhakti is not easy. The so-called path of bhakti practiced by unauthorized person without knowledge of the bhakti may be easy. But when it is practiced factually, according to the rules and regulations, the speculative scholars and philosophers fall away from the path. Srila Rupa Goswami writes in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.101. Shruti Smriti Puranandi Pancharatraha Vidim Vina Aikantika Harer Bhaktir Utpatta Eva Kalpate. Devotional service of the Lord that is Puranas and Narada Pancharatraha is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. It is not possible for the Brahman realized impersonalist or the Paramatma realized yogi to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the son of the Mother Yashoda or the charioteer of the Arjuna. Even the great demigods are sometimes confused about Krishna. Muyanti yat surayah. Mam tu veda na kaschana. No one knows me as I am, the Lord says. And if one does know him, then sa mahatma so durlabha. Such a great personal service to the Lord, one cannot know Krishna as he is, tatvatah, even though one is a great scholar or philosopher. Only the pure devotees can know something of the inconceivable transcendental qualities in Krishna. His being the cause of all causes, his omnipotence and opulence, and his wealth, fame, strength, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. Because Krishna is benevolently inclined to his devotees. He is the last word in Brahman realization, and the devotees alone can realize him as he is. Therefore, it is said, Atha Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavit grihayam indriyayah sevana mukhe hi jivadau swayam eva spurayati adaha. No one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material senses, but he reveals himself to the devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.234. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So in Bhagavatam it is mentioned Muktanam cha siddhanam narayana parayana kotishvapi sudurlabham prashantatma mahamuni. So a devotee of the Lord is very, very rare. Even Muktanam cha siddhanam, in liberated people or those who achieved, spiritual, this siddhis and all that, in that also a Lord's devotee is so rare. Koti Shubi Maham. In crores of those people, the devotee of the Lord is very, very rare. So here Krishna is telling here, Manushanam Sahasreshu Kashidyatiti Siddh. So in thousands of people, some people try for spirituality. And in that also, many people stuck up at impersonal realization. And if some people progress ahead, then they stuck up at the realization of Paramatma. And ahead of that realization is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in that Supreme Personality of Godhead relation, the relation of Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the rarest. So that rare understanding of Krishna is easily made available by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anarpitam chancharat karunavatakalo samarpitum anutojjala sam subhashyam. So that rarest of all rare, understanding Krishna in fullest of his is able to understand by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only. So this knowledge is given here, and Krishna is telling that is very, very rare. So Prabhupada is telling here, it is easy. Bhakti is very easy. The materialistic people say Bhakti is very easy. They say sentimental people practice Bhakti. And really there are some people who are sentimental and they appear to be practicing Bhakti. But that sentimental Bhakti which people perform, it's called Sahaja Bhakti. They are not serious about devotional service. Like you see, there are many Bhagavad Saptas happen. People literally they cry in those classes. And sometimes we may feel that our hearts are dry. We are not able to cry, but these people are crying there. Speaker also is crying and the audience also is crying. But after the class gets over, then speaker is busy with his own things and the audience also busy with their own material. So this is easy to cry, easy to dry, is not a devotional service. So bhakti is easy, but it's not cheap. It's not sentimental. One has to do bhakti with full understanding. Bhakti is understanding, epitome of all understandings. That's why Lord Chaitanya says, one who wants to understand bhakti, he should not be lazy in scriptural understanding. So one should study all scriptures and then one should understand the devotional service's sense of this all scriptures. And bhakti is not done by our mental speculation or emotionally we do devotional. No, it has a complete basis of spiritual practice. So what pure devotees do, that becomes scriptures. So what a pure devotees they do in loving devotional service to Krishna, it should be respected as a scriptures. But we should not think that whatever I do, it's scriptural. No, we cannot do like that devotional service. We have to follow the scriptures because we are not pure devotees. The way the cowherd boys offer Krishna offering, we cannot offer like that. Cowherd boys, they put rasgulla in their mouth and they are about to gulp it down, but Krishna comes there. He says, what is there in your mouth? They say, no, nothing. But Krishna, he comes in front of their mouth and he puts by his loving hands, he punches their cheeks and that rasgulla comes out and that Krishna eats. So this is loving reciprocation happening in the spiritual world. So we cannot imitate and we cannot start new way of offering. But we have to follow all scriptures and then we should practice scripturally. And that way we do, then we get perfection in our spiritual practice. That's why at conditional stage, we must follow devotional service under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master. And we should not become sentimental like Sahaja people. They practice bhakti as per their will. They think that they have become gopis and Krishna is a gopa boy and they start showing parki ras, swaki ras, whatever so-called rasas they show. So they are extreme. They are another extreme. And there are impersonal people, they are extreme to understand that Supreme Lord is impersonal. So these both are extremes. So we are not going to follow any of them, but we are going to follow the real path of devotional service, which is given within authorized scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. and by our spiritual masters. That practice we have to practice. So sentimental people, they criticize the people who are in knowledge, and those people who are in knowledge, they criticize the sentimental people. So both of them are criticized. But devotees of the Lord, they should be knowledgeable and they should have sentiments. Both is combined in devotional service. The Lord's devotees are emotional as well as they are complete in knowledge. They are not dry. Their hearts don't become dry by having spiritual knowledge. So this combination is very, very important. That we understand Krishna scripturally as well as we develop the loving emotions by the mercy of our spiritual masters. So that can be achieved very easily by engaging our senses in Krishna's service. Rishikena Rishikesh Sevaya Bhakti Ruttam. So that one should do. So this is the rarity of understanding Krishna in complete knowledge is described by Lord here. And now in next verse, Krishna is going to describe about his energies. So knowledge about his energies is going to describe. So now in text 4, he is going to describe about his material energy. Bhumirapo no vayu khammano buddhirevacha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakritirashtada. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. All together, these 8 constitute my separated material energies. Now, Prabhuji can read some.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
The science of God analyzes the constitutional position of God and his diverse energies. Material nature is called Prakriti, or the energy of the Lord in his different Purusha incarnations, expansions. As described in the Narada Pancharatra, one of the Satvata Tantras, Vishnustu Trini Rupani Purushakhyaनि Atho Vidu Ekam tu Mahatah Srashtar Dvityam tu Andasamsthitam Hritayam Sarvabhutastham Tani Gyatva Vimuchyate. For material creation, Lord Krishna's plenary expansion assumes 3 Vishnus. The first one, Mahavishnu, creates the total material energy, known as the Mahat Tattva. The second, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, enters into all the universes to create diversities in each of them. The third, Shirodakshay Vishnu, is diffused as the all-pervading Supersoul in all the universes and is known as Paramatma. He is present even within the atoms. Anyone who knows these 3 Vishnus can be liberated from material entanglement. This material world is a temporary manifestation of one of the energies of the Lord. All the activities of the material world are directed by these 3 Vishnu expansion of Lord Krishna. These Purushas are called incarnations. Generally, one who does not know the science of God, Krishna, assumes that this material world is for the enjoyment of the living entities, and the living entities are the Purushas, the causes, controllers, and enjoyers of the material energy. According to Bhagavad Gita, this atheistic conclusion is false. In the verse under discussion, it is stated that Krishna is the original cause of the material manifestation. Srimad Bhagavatam also confirms this. The ingredients of material manifestation are separated energy of the Lord. Even the Brahma Jyoti, which is the ultimate goal of the impersonalist, is a spiritual energy manifested in the spiritual sky. There are no spiritual diversities in the Brahma Jyoti as there are in the Vaikuntha Lokas. And the impersonalists accept this Brahma Jyoti as the ultimate eternal goal. The Paramatma manifestation is also a temporary, all-pervasive aspect of the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. The Paramatma manifestation is not eternal in the spiritual world. Therefore, the factual absolute truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. He is the complete energetic person and he possesses different, separated and internal energies. In the material energy, the principal manifestation are 8, as above mentioned. Out of these, the first 5 manifestations, namely earth, water, fire, air, and sky, are called the 5 gigantic creations or the gross creations, within which the 5 sense depths are included. They are the manifestations of physical sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. Material science comprises these 10 items and nothing more. But the other 3 items, namely mind, intelligence, and false ego, are neglected by the materialist. Philosophers who deal with mental activities are also not perfect in knowledge because they do not know the ultimate source, Krishna. The false ego, I am, and it is mine, which constitute the basic principle of material existence, includes 10 sense organs for material activities. Intelligence refers to the total material creation called the Mahat Tattva. Therefore, from the 8 separated energies of the Lord are manifest the 24 elements of the material world, which are the subject matter of Sankhya atheistic philosophy. They are originally offshoots from Krishna's energy and are separated from him. But atheistic Sankhya philosophers with a poor fund of knowledge do not know Krishna is the cause of all causes. The subject matter for discussion in the Sankhya philosophy is only the manifestation of the external energy of Krishna, as it is described in the Bhagavad Gita.
So, in this section, verse number 4 to 12, we are going to know Krishna's material and spiritual energies. So, these 9 verses, Krishna explains that he is the source of both material and spiritual energies. Because all within our experience is a combination of these 2 energies. This information will enable Arjuna to see Krishna everywhere, even as he stands on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So now, in this verse, Krishna is describing about the apara, that is Maya Shakti or the material nature. How this material nature is consisted of the 5 gross elements and 3 subtle elements. This way, Lord is going to describe about the material nature, that is Prakriti in text 4, and Jiva is in text 5, and Ishvara is text number 6 and 7. This way, Lord is going to describe the complete knowledge that Prakriti, Jiva, and Ishvara. So, anybody who understands this, then he can understand the entire existence. There is nothing beyond this. This is the key of knowledge. Any scientist, anybody who is trying to understand, they have to come to this conclusion only. There is nothing, you see anything in this material world, if you bring it down, they will come to these material elements only. So the 5 elements in this material world, whatever we see beautiful things, whatever we see, they all come down to these 5 material things, gross elements, and 3 subtle elements. So like that, Krishna is describing here in this verse. Now in next verse, Krishna will describe the spiritual living entity, Para Prakriti, Jiva Shakti. So this material energy is separated from the Lord, and that's why it's called inferior energy, and it consists about 8 elements. So this is inferior energy to living entity also. But when living entity forgets his supreme connection with the Lord, then this inferior energy also becomes superior for him. This inferior energy whom he is supposed to control. Because of ignorance, he gets controlled by this inferior energy. That is a problem. Like we see, there are people who have knowledge, but because the knowledge is not realized, then they become bewildered actually. Like there is a doctor who is a cancer specialist, who is curing people from lung diseases. Because of smoking, they are getting the diseases. But surprisingly, we find that doctor has a habit of drinking, smoking cigarettes. So that means what? His knowledge is not helping him to remain away from this addiction of smoking. Although he has power to cure people, but he himself is succumbed to this habit of smoking. So that knowledge is not helping him. So like that, the material knowledge, people know everything, but they are not situated spiritually alert. They succumb to it. So understanding material nature by devotee is a different. And understanding material nature and these 8 elements by anybody else is different. Even yogis, big yogis, big gyanis, big tapasvis, they want to control these energies, but given point, they fail miserably. Vishwamitra and all these great sages, we see that how they got bewildered by these energies. But a devotee of the Lord, how insignificant he may be, but he has understood Krishna, he has understood his relation with Krishna, then these material energies will not affect him. These inferior energies will not affect him. And for that devotee, nothing remains inferior. For him, everything becomes superior to engage in Krishna service. So for us, now what elements we have? We have earth, water, fire, air, ether. But when we want to gratify them for our sense gratification, then that inferior energy causes bondage. And sometimes people are succumb to this inferior energy. But the devotees of the Lord, even mind, the subtle elements also, mind, false ego, and intelligence. These all 5 gross and subtle elements can be controlled by devotee and they can be engaged in the service of the Lord. So that superior power one achieves when he becomes devotee of the Lord. Otherwise, people get carried away. They succumb to one element, and this one element becomes so heavy that people cannot come out of it. And the false ego, the mind makes people crazy. Their intelligence also makes them crazy. And what to speak about these 5 elements. So in this way, this inferior energy becomes superior for conditioned soul. But when conditioned soul has understood his identity with the Supreme Lord, his relation with the Supreme Lord, then for him actually this energy is inferior. And rather he will make that inferior energy superior by connecting it in Krishna service. So this Prakriti, which is bondage, will become a cause of liberation when it is rightly connected to the Supreme Lord. So now here 3 Vishnus are explained. So how this creation takes place, that is overall given. From Mahavishnu's creation to Garbhodak's creation to Shirodaksha Vishnu's creation. These all creations are within creations. So in Krishna's creation, the material creation is there. In material creation of Mahavishnu, there is Garbhodayaksha Vishnu's creation is there. And Garbhodayaksha Vishnu's creation, there is Sridaksha Vishnu's creation is there. And that creation, Brahmaji also creates, who is secondary creator. And from him, we also get the elements, and everybody is creating further things. So the original of all these energies, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he is a origin for this material energy also, as well as the superior energy. So now the superior energy, Krishna will describe in next verse. अपरेमितस्त्वमन्यां प्रकृतिं विधि मे परां जीवभूता महाभाव edam dharayate jagat. Beside this, O mighty Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind, which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resource of this material inferior nature. Somebody can read?
Here it is clearly mentioned that living entities belong to the superior nature or energy of the Supreme Lord. The inferior energy is matter manifested in different elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and falsity. Both forms of material nature, namely gross, earth, etc., and subtle, mind, etc., are products of the inferior energy. The living entities who are exploiting these inferior energies for different purposes are the superior energy of the Supreme Lord. And it is due to this energy that the entire material world functions. The cosmic manifestation has no power to act unless it is moved by the superior energy. The living entity energies are always controlled by the energetic, and therefore the living entities are always controlled by the Lord. They have no independent existence. They are never equally powerful. Equally powerful as unintelligent men think. The distinction between the living entities and the Lord is described in Srimad Bhagavatam as follows. Aparimita dhruvas tanukrato yadi sarvagatas tarhi na sashyati niyamo va netrartha ajani cha yanmaya tad avichya neyantra bhavet samam anujanatam yad amadam mat ustatya. O Supreme Eternal, if the embodied living entities are eternal and all-pervading like you, then they would not be under your control. But if the living entities are accepted as minute energies of your Lordship, then they are at once subject to your supreme control. Therefore, real liberation entails surrender by the living entities to your control, and that surrender will make them happy. In that constitutional position, only can they be controllers. Therefore, men with limited knowledge who educate the monistic theory that God and the living entities are equal in all respects are actually guided by quality and polluted. The Supreme Lord Shri Krishna is the only controller, and all living entities are controlled by him. These living entities are the superior energy because the quality of its existence is quality of their existence is one and the same with the Supreme. But they are never equal to the Lord in quantity or form. While exploiting the gross and subtle inferior energy matter, the superior energy, the living entity, forgets the real spiritual mind intelligence. This forgetfulness is due to the influence of matter upon the living entity. But when the living entity becomes free from the influence of the illusory material energy, he attains the stage called Bhakti or liberation. The false ego, under the influence of material illusion, thinks I am matter and material acquisitions are mine. His actual position is realized when he is liberated from all material items, including the conception of his becoming one in all respects. Therefore, one may conclude that the Gita confirms the living entity to be only one of the multi-energies of Krishna. And when this energy is freed from material contamination, it becomes fully Krishna conscious or
Right. So here, Lord is telling that living entities are his manifestation. They are superior energy of mind. So why this superior energy is getting affected by the inferior energy is because of ignorance. The more we are ignorant, the inferior energy will act upon us and we will become bound by this inferior energy. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita it is told, Krishna बोलिया जी भोगवांशा करी निकटस्थ मायाधारे झपटिया. When one forgets about Krishna and he wants to enjoy, then immediately he gets succumbed by this inferior energy. So this inferior energy becomes superior to him that he is not able to come out of it. So that is a power which inferior energy will act upon him. But if he remembers his connection with the Lord, then he will not get affected by the inferior energy. Rather, he will utilize the inferior energy in the service of the Lord. So that's why it is very, very important that if we want to be happy in this world, so as long as we make our connection with Krishna, then only we can be happy. Otherwise, if we forget our connection with Krishna, every element is so difficult to conquer that we cannot be happy at all. So, the real liberation, which is Prabhupada is telling here, that when one becomes free from the influence of this material energy, that is liberation. But at this moment, we are always influenced by heat, cold, rain. All these things are affecting us. And then these are gross things are affecting us. Their thirst, anger, hunger, these all things are there. Then again, our false ego, our mind, they also drag us. So they will affect us as long as we forget our identity, that I am Krishna's servant. But once we revive our identity, then we can control this inferior energy in a right manner. And how one should control this inferior energy? So rather than enjoying this inferior energy, one will dovetail this inferior energy in the service of the Lord. So you see, in the material world, people have money, people have youth, people have everything. But what they don't have? The desire to engage this money, this body in the service of the Lord. So that's why they are getting bound. But once we have the desire to engage in Krishna service, the first offering to serve Krishna is we ourselves. And if we offer ourselves to Krishna, then we don't require any material, nothing, no material thing is required. Because offering ourselves to Krishna is the biggest offering than offering gold or silver or other material things. Krishna doesn't need all those things, because that is also his property only. So what we are going to offer him? But offering ourselves to Krishna, surrendering ourselves to Krishna, it is the beginning of devotion service. So we offer ourselves to Krishna. And after offering ourselves to Krishna, whatever is connection with us, whatever things are connected to us, those also we offer it to Krishna, naturally. So we should not keep ourselves away and offer many things to Krishna. That will not impress him at all. But if somebody is offering himself to Krishna and he has no material things, Lord will be very happy with that person's offering. So this is very much important. So material energy will become subservient to the people who are surrendered to Krishna. And those who are not surrendered to Krishna and they want to rule over the material energy itself will come so aggressively upon them that they will be lost. So that is the power of material energy. So that will cause a bondage. So real liberation begins by surrendering to Krishna, giving ourselves to Krishna first, and then such a surrendered soul will offer anything, everything, whichever comes is in his contact. That also will offer to Krishna. So for that person, this inferior energy will become cause of liberation. So Dhruva Maharaj, he wanted to have greater kingdom than his great-grandfather, Brahma. But when he got touched by the counsel of the Lord, he immediately, that desire evaporated from his heart. But still, Lord gave him a big kingdom and he asked him to rule that kingdom for many thousands years. So that time he was ruling the entire kingdom, but with what attitude? Attitude of service. So if we have beauty, if we have wealth, if we have energy, if we have anything with us, then we will take it as a grace of Krishna, and rather getting puffed up, we will offer it to Supreme Lord. So that is a real position of a living entity. In this attitude, if one is living his life, then he is liberated from this material world. Therefore, one may conclude that Gita confirms the living entity to be only one of the multi-energies of the Krishna, and when this energy is freed from material contamination, it becomes fully Krishna conscious or liberated. So to get liberated from this material contamination, one has to engage oneself in Lord's service. Okay, text 6. एतद्योनिन भूतानि सर्वान्नित्युपधारय अहं कृत्सन्न्यस्य जगतः प्रभुः प्रलयस्तथा. All created beings have their source in these two natures. Of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world. Know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. Read, somebody can read.
Hare Krishna. Purport. Everything that exists is a product of matter and spirit. Spirit is the basic field of creation and matter is created by spirit. Spirit is not created at certain stage of material development. Rather, this material world is manifested only on the basis of spiritual energy. This material body is developed because spirit is present within the matter. A child grows gradually to boyhood and then to manhood because that superior energy, spirit soul, is present. Similarly, the entire cosmic manifestation of the gigantic universe is developed because of the presence of the supersoul Vishnu. Therefore, spirit and matter, which combines to manifest this gigantic universal form, are original two energies of the Lord, and consequently, the Lord is the original cause of everything. A fragmental part and parcel of Lord, namely the living entity, may be the cause of big skyscraper, a big factory, or even a big city. But he cannot be the cause of big universe. The cause of big universe is the big soul or the super soul. And Krishna, the Supreme, is the cause of both being big and the small souls. Therefore, he is the original cause of all causes. That is confirmed in Katha Upanishad 2.2.13. Nityo Nityanam Chetana Chetananam.
So here now Krishna is telling that I am superior to both, that is matter and living entity. Text number 4 and 5. And he is a cause of creation and dissolution. And as well as he maintains both. So these both depend upon the Supreme Lord. So that way the Lord's position is superior. Always. So now again in next verse, Lord will describe how he is maintaining this creation. Matta paratanam nanyat yatkinshit asti dhananjaya smai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread.
Well, but there is a common controversy over whether the Supreme Absolute Truth is personal or impersonal. As far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, the Absolute Truth is the personality of Godhead Shri Krishna, and this is confirmed in every step. In this verse in particular, it is stressed that the Absolute Truth is a person. That the personality of Godhead is the Supreme Absolute Truth is also the affirmation of the Brahma Samhita. Ishvaraha Parama Krishna Satchid Ananda Vigraha. That is, the Supreme Absolute Truth, personality of Godhead, is Lord Krishna, who is the primeval Lord, the reservoir of all pleasure, Govinda, and the eternal form of complete bliss and knowledge. These authorities leave no doubt that the Absolute Truth is the Supreme Person, the cause of all causes. The impersonalists, however, argue on the strength of the Vedic version given in Shveteshwar Upanishad 3.10, Tato yad uttara taram tad arupam anamayam ya etat vidud amritam te bhavanti athetare dukkham piyanti. In the material world, Brahma, the primeval living entity within the universe, is understood to be the supreme among the demigods, human being, and the lower animals. But beyond Brahma is the transcendent, who has no material form and is free from all material contaminations. Anyone who can know him also becomes transcendental, but those who do not know him suffers the miseries of of the material world. The impersonalists put more stress on the word arupam, but this arupam is not impersonal. It indicates the transcendental form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge, as described in Brahma Samhita quoted above. Other verses in Shveteshwar Upanishad substantiate this as follows. Vedahametam purusham mahantam adityavarnam tamasah parastat tameva vidhitvati mrityumeti नान्यं पन्था विद्यते अयनायः यस्मात् परं न परम् अस्ति किंचित् यस्मान् नानीयो नो न्यायो अस्ति किंचित् वृक्ष एव स्तब्धो दिवि तिष्ठत्य एकस् तेनेदं पूर्णं पुरुषेण सर्वम्. I know the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all material conceptions of darkness. Only he who knows him can transcend the bonds of birth and death. There is no way for liberation other than this knowledge of that Supreme Person. There is no truth superior to the Supreme Person because he is the supermost. He is smaller than the smallest, and he is greater than the greatest. He is situated as a silent tree, and he illuminates the transcendental sky. And as the tree spreads its roots, he spreads his extensive energies. From these verses, one concludes that the Supreme Absolute Truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is all pervading by his multi energies, both material and spiritual.
So, in this verse, it is resolved that Lord is personal. So, Krishna is support for material creation. As the pearls are strung upon a thread. So, thread is not visible. That doesn't mean the thread is not there. But thread is invisible for ordinary people, those who don't have understand. So, Krishna can be understood only by his devotees. Other people cannot understand him. Like there is a 26th January, there is a, we see that on Kartavya Path, president is sitting there and the whole battalion, they are marching ahead. Sometimes in the battalion, there are some horse battalions there. The horse will not know they are marching for president. They will just march. For them, it doesn't matter whether it's a president or anybody. So for the horses, the president doesn't exist. For them, only grass exists. Because they are animals. So they cannot understand where they're walking, whom they are walking for. So that is their understanding. And the soldier who is sitting on the horse, he knows that he is a president. So that's why they salute, they respect. So their understanding is little personal. But what is that personal understanding is that he is a president and I am soldier. And in that same place, when after this Republic Day, when the president goes home, then his mother is interacting with him. So for that mother, the president is not president. The president is his son or her son, whatever. So this is the different understanding which various living entities have about the same person who is the president. Within this creation, villagers who are ignorant, they don't know, they are controlled by government. For them, who is the prime minister doesn't matter. For them, nothing matters actually. For them, the superior is the demigod, who is the sarpanch of that village. That person becomes superior for them. Sometimes they think he is only the controller of the entire creation. So that is their understanding. So like that, depending upon the maturity of person, he thinks somebody is supreme or somebody is not supreme. So same way, the impersonalists, they think the Brahman is supreme than the Lord, because their understanding is covered by ignorance. But if somebody wants to know beyond Brahman, then this is a Paramatma relation. But understanding concludes when they see Paramatma in their heart, they think this is only Supreme Personality. But for devotees, they don't stop at the realization of Paramatma, but they realize Lord as a person. They have Bhagwan relation. So this relation can be possible only those who are surrendered to him. So this way Krishna is establishing himself that he is beyond the material cosmos, he is beyond the living entities, he is supreme to both. And now text number 8 to 11, Krishna will describe that how we can remember him, how we can understand his power, his control, his ruling, by how we can see his hand in all the elements which we see around, and how we should be able to connect these manifestations, understanding these are ruled by Lord. So that is what he is going to explain now, text number 8 to 11. रसोऽहम् अप्सु कौन्तेय प्रभास्मि सूर्यो प्रणवः सर्ववेदेषु शब्दखे पुरुषं नुषु. O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras, I am the sound in the ether and ability in the man. Yes, somebody can. Mataji can read.
This explains how love is all pervasive but is diverse and spiritual energies. The Supreme Lord can be brilliantly perceived by his different energies, and in this way he is realized impersonally. As the demigod itself is a person and is perceived by his all-pervading energy, the sunshine, so the Lord, although it has returned to the boat, is perceived by his all-pervading energies. The taste of water is the active principle of water. No one likes to drink seawater because the pure taste of water is mixed with salt. Attraction for water depends on the purity of the taste, and this pure taste is one of the energies of the Lord. The impersonalist perceives the presence of the Lord in water by its taste, and the personalist also glorifies the Lord for his kind of supplying tasty water to quench man's thirst. That is the way of perceiving the Supreme. Practically speaking, there is one contradiction between personalism and impersonalism. One is God knows that impersonal conception and personal conception are simultaneously present in everything, and that there is no contradiction. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya established the sublime doctrine and maintained the simultaneously oneness and difference. The light of the sun and the moon is also originally emanated from the Brahma, which is impersonal versions of God, and Pranav, or the transcendental sound, in the beginning of every Vedic hymn, addresses the Supreme Lord. Because the impersonalists are very much afraid of addressing the Supreme Lord Krishna by his infinite names, they prefer to vibrate the sound. But they do not realize that Ahankar is the sound representation of Krishna. The jurisdiction of Krishna consciousness extends everywhere, and one who knows Krishna consciousness is blessed. Those who are not in Krishna are in illusion, and so knowledge of Krishna is illusion, and ignorance of him is confusion.
Now Krishna mercifully is teaching us how we can remember him. Okay? So suppose one child is there. When he goes home and he finds there are shoes are there. Then as soon as the child will see the shoe, the child will understand that father is there inside. And he will remember the father by seeing those shoes. But the same shoes, if you want to repair and you take it to cobbler, that shoes will not remind him about that person. That shoe for the cobbler is just made of some leather, and he is going to just see as a material thing. So these shoes will not revoke in the heart of cobbler the remembrance of that person. But for son, when he sees the shoe, he remembers father immediately. So that is difference between a devotee looking at material elements and an impersonalist looking at material elements. For them, material elements remain material only. But for devotees, the material elements will remind him about the Supreme Lord. So these are the things which we are regularly, day-to-day life, we come across. Are they reminding us about Krishna? If yes, then we are devotees of Krishna. If we are not remembering or getting reminded by Krishna by coming across these things, then we are so far from that calling ourselves devotees. So every day we drink water. So every sip of water, are we remembering Krishna? Prabhupada goes to such an extreme, he says some liquor, the drunkard also, that when you drink wine, the taste is Krishna. Even you are drinking wine, if you remember Krishna, then he can become devotee. Then what to speak about us? So we get every day to drink water. So like that, every day we see sun and moon. So these things should remind us about Krishna. If these things are not reminding us about Krishna, then Lord is mercifully appearing as a deity. At least we should see the deity and remember him. That's why Kanishtadhikaris require devotion, because they cannot see material things and remember Krishna. So at least the form of the Lord is presented him in front of his eyes. So he should remember Krishna. But for pure devotees, they always see Krishna. Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chame pashyati tasyapna pranashyami sachamena pranashyati. So for pure devotees, Lord is reciprocating at every stage, at every moment. When Narasimha asked, Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad, where is your God? Is he in pillar? So Lord was visible for Prahlad in that pillar. For non-devotee, the Lord appears as a pillar. So for pure devotees, when they see the deity, for them, Krishna is manifested in that form. But for materialistic person, when they see the deity, for them it appears a stone. So that's why it is Rupa Goswami writes in Padyavali, Arche Vishnu Shiladhir, Gurushu Naramatir, Vaishnave Jati Buddhir. This mentality one has who thinks the deity as a stone or spiritual master as a human being, or Vaishnavas as their previous background, their race and the caste and color, if we discriminate and think that holy name is just like some alphabets of Ra, Ma, or Ka, or the water of Lord Charanamrita as ordinary water. So like that, if we think God as ordinary demigod, something like that, then our mentality is a hellish mentality. So if these things are reminding us about Krishna, like a loving son, when he sees the coat, when he sees the shoes, when he sees the spectacles of father, he remembers immediately the father. Because he has developed. His eyes, they don't see just only material elements, but they see the connection of that material elements with the person. So same way, devotee also, when they see the material things, they remember Krishna immediately. So Lord Chaitanya, when he used to see the Chatak Parvat, he used to remember Govardhan. When he used to see like any water flowing, for him it appears Ganga. Like that, for devotees, everywhere their mind is absorbed. Moraman Vrindavan, their mind, their heart is made of Vrindavan, is associating with Vrindavan. So pure devotees can carry Vrindavan. They go to America and they make Vrindavan that land by establishing Krishna's temples there. So that is the power of pure devotees. And we go to Vrindavan and we treat Vrindavan as oh, there is no facility, there is nothing, this, that. So many complaints we see, people see pigs there or they see monkeys there and they think this is not a good place to stay. And that way, their eyes are not able to see the divinity of that holy place. Then what to speak about material things to see as a divine. So that art we cannot have. So unless until our hearts are softened, then we can realize Krishna is a taste of water. Krishna is the light of the sun. When we see sun and moon, we may remember these are the eyes of my Lord. So these are the remembrance one can have when one comes across these things. Literally, we can connect these things to Krishna, and they are connected to Krishna because Krishna only is saying here, not I am saying it, but Lord is saying that He is a taste of water. If He is saying He is a taste of water, then we should believe in it and we should reciprocate whenever so our drinking water also can become devotional service. So when we see at sun and moon, we can remember Him. So like that, the whole life will go in remembrance of Krishna. So there is no moment for a devotee that he will remain away from Lord. He will be constantly in touch with Krishna. Whatever we are coming across, we can connect to Krishna. So that is a devotee's heart, But for non-devotees, they will separate everything from Krishna. So much so they'll separate Sita also from Ram. Radha also from Krishna. So they achieve such a perfection, like Ravana mentality. Ravana was separating Sita from Ram. So scientists also, they separate these material things away from Lord and they want to manipulate something. But devotees, they unite these things to the Supreme Lord. Like Hanuman united Radha, Sita Devi to Lord Ram. So that is the consciousness of devotees. When they see these material elements, for them they don't remain just material elements, but they become spiritual by connecting them in the service of Krishna. The sound, so many people make so many sounds, but this sound is connected to Krishna, like there are so many stars, there are so many singers, they are singing, and there are so many people getting attracted to those songs. But unfortunate, they are, because they are not able to sing the glories of Krishna. Except Hare Krishna, their mouth can chant anything. Like we go in railway station also, in train also, the beggar will sing movie songs to get some bread and butter. But when we want to give Mahaprasad, we say Hare Krishna. He will keep his mouth shut. He will not speak Hare Krishna only. So like that, they are purposefully avoid chanting Krishna names. So Lord mercifully is here, giving us chance that how we can see his hand, his eyes, his legs, everything. Whenever we are surrounded by his loving compassion, we are in his womb. So these all things should remind us about Lord. So this is the way Krishna is telling that he is the essence of everything. And if we understand this essence, then this material world will be spiritual for a devotee. Otherwise, conditioned living unity is so powerful that he can make spiritual things material. Like Nalkuvar Manigriv, they were taking bath in Mandakini river, which is Ganga in the spiritual world, but they are gratifying their senses in that river, which is supposed to purify them, but they are purifying themselves. So like that we have the facility to remember Krishna. So if we have right attitude, right mindset, then we can remember Krishna at every stage of our life. Next verse. Punyo gandha prithvivyam cha tejasasmi vibhavaso jivanam sarvabhuteshu tapaschasmi tapashvis. I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat in fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penances of all ascetics. Yes, somebody can.
Yes. Punya means that which is not decomposed. Punya is original. Everything in the material world has a certain flavor or fragrance, as the flavor and fragrance in a flower or in the earth, in water, in fire, in air, etc. The uncontaminated flavor, the original flavor, which permeates everything, is Krishna. Similarly, everything has a particular original taste, and this taste can be changed by the mixture of chemicals. So everything original has some smell, some fragrance, and some taste. Vishwavasu, Vibhavasu means fire. Without fire, we cannot run factories, we cannot cook, etc. And that fire is Krishna. The heat in the fire is Krishna. According to Vedic medicine, indigestion is due to a low temperature in the belly. So even for digestion, fire is needed. In Krishna consciousness, we become aware that earth, water, fire, air, and every active principle, all chemicals and all material elements are due to Krishna. The duration of man's life is also due to Krishna. Therefore, by the grace of Krishna, man can prolong his life or diminish it. So Krishna consciousness is active in every sphere.
So now in modern life, people are hardly able to see sun and moon. So whenever we see out tube light, we should remember Krishna. So that much at least we can do. And whatever fragrance is there, now people don't want a flower fragrance, but they want all these deodorants and all other things. So even this fragrance is by mercy of Krishna only. So these things we can, these chemicals, these things should make us spiritual. Prabhupada is going even to the digestion, the temperature within the belly. That is also mercy of Krishna. If Krishna is not merciful, we will have constipation. So there is a constipation, physical constipation is there, and there is spiritual constipation also. Then if we read so many books, but we don't have spiritual digestion power, then that education, that learning becomes a constipation. It creates doubts in our mind, and sometimes reading so many things, we sometimes become atheist or impersonalist. Our faith diminishes, and we think that other philosophies are attracting us, and we will give up this personal philosophy, and we may get attracted to other philosophies. That is also a constitution of education. Bijam mam sarvabhutanam vidhi partha sanatanam buddhir matam asmi tejas tejasvinamaham. O son of Parth, know that I am the original seed of all existence, the intelligence of the intelligent, and the prowesses of all powerful men. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Bija means seed. Krishna is the seed of everything. There are various living entities, movable and inert. Birds, bees, men, and many other living creatures are moving living entities. Trees and plants, however, are inert. They cannot move, but only stand. Every entity is contained within the scope of 84 million species of life. Some of them are moving and some of them are inert. In all cases, however, the seed of their life is Krishna. As stated in Vedic literature, Brahman or Supreme Absolute Truth is that from which everything is emanating. Krishna is Parabrahman, the Supreme Spirit. Brahman is impersonal and Parabrahman is personal. Impersonal Brahman is situated in the personal aspect that is stated in Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, originally, Krishna is the source of everything. He is the root. As the root of the tree maintains the whole tree, Krishna, being the original root of all things, maintains everything in this material manifestation. This is also confirmed in the Vedic literature, Katha Upanishad 2.2.13. Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetnanam Eko Bahunam Yovidadati Kaman. He is the prime eternal among all eternals. He is the supreme living entity of all living entities, and he alone is maintaining all life. One cannot do anything without intelligence, and Krishna also says that he is the root of all intelligence. Unless a person is intelligent, he cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna.
So this way one should develop one's attitude to understand Krishna. Next, balam balavatam chaham kamaraga vivartitam dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bhartarshaba. I am the strength of the strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am sex life, which is not contrary to religious principles. O Lord of the Bharatas, Arjuna. Yes, somebody can read. Mataji, you are closed.
But the strong man's strength should be applied to protect the weak, not for personal aggression. Similarly, sex life, according to religious principles, dharma, should be for the procreation of children, not otherwise. The responsibility of parents is then to make their offsprings Krishna conscious.
So in material world, any facility is given with the responsibility. There is nothing, no facility is given without responsibility. Like somebody becomes director, he has many facilities. So the less intelligent person sees only facilities. He doesn't see that what responsibilities that director has. So same way, if we want to understand that, whatever these facilities are there, their responsibilities also there with us. So sex life is a facility, but there is a responsibility to raise children. Even animals take it seriously. No animal enjoys sex life without taking responsibility. Even birds, they make nest, then only they will get into this. Or they will raise their children at the cost of their own lives. So they also practice responsibility. But when human beings, they don't take the responsibility at heart, but they just want to enjoy the facility, then they are worse than animals. So Krishna is telling this facility is given, but along with that, the responsibility is also there. It is expected. So human life has a facility. We are least bothered about ahar, nidra, bhaya, mithun. In this human life, these things are easily available. For food, you see all animals are struggling from morning till night. But fortunately, we get food, ahar very easily. Nidra, just to sleep. Their sleep is so austere for animals. They don't know where they sleep, they will be alive till the next morning or not. They don't know. They are always alert in their sleep also. But human life, we can sleep and we don't have without fear. Then they are always fearful about their territories, about other animals attacking on them. But human life is given many facilities. So what one should do, what responsibility one has after getting human life, the responsibility of athato brahma jigyasa. One should inquire about the supreme. That is a responsibility. Even after getting so many facilities, if we are not inquiring about absolute truth, then we are living like animals. So this all Krishna is reminding us that these are the things which you can see, perceive, and remember me. A sex life can remind somebody about Krishna if they are doing it for procreating Krishna conscious children. So there is nobody is asked to stop to enjoy into this, but they should take responsibility that they will raise their children very Krishna conscious. So tapo divyam putrakayana sat. So human life is meant to do tapasya, to do Krishna conscious activities. It should not be lived like lower animals, like dogs and hogs. So with responsibility, one should live Krishna conscious life, and by these all activities, one should be able to remember Krishna. So that is given in these verses. So we'll stop here now. We'll see tomorrow, text 12 onwards. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnava ki jai.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.